8:47 this morning, we are asking the attorney your legal questions. I have attorney John Haymond from the Haymond Law Firm joining us once again to answer a question from Angelo D., who wrote in to say, during Sunday night's windstorm, a car swerved to avoid a fallen branch and sideswiped me. I'm emailing you from the ER. Would you please answer this question that my wife and I have? Is this an act of God and the other driver isn't responsible, or is it like any other accident where you are responsible for maintaining control of your car? Very good question from Angelo.
Well, it is a good question. Angelo, you're in luck because I'm most prepared to answer your question. And first and foremost, what is an act of God and what creates an act of God? And that is, in fact, something that occurs, that takes place, that is totally outside of a person's control. For example, a branch, a major branch falling from a tree under certain circumstances, that's an act of God. A person having a heart attack while driving, assuming no prior conditions, and causes an accident, that's an act of God. So on the one hand, you could say that the limb falling on the car is in fact an act of God. However, if the accident victim came to me, I would take a completely different view. I would say, yes, that may have been an act of God, and that's certainly what the insurance company defense attorneys would claim. It was due to an act of God. But I would say, on the other hand, that this was an avoidable accident because, yes, the tree limb fell on the car, but they swerved to avoid it, knowing or should have known that there was oncoming vehicles. So they as a result of the limb falling, they caused harm and put somebody else in a zone of danger. So I would say you have a very legitimate claim, which brings me to a second part to this story, because we have a number of these types of cases that you wouldn't believe to be true.
Right.
We have a number of cases of individuals who were injured as a result of trees falling on their car. Now, normally you would say that's an act of God, but we've hired arborists and people who are experts in their field to examine the trees in question, and you have to do it rather quickly. And they determined that the owner of the property knew or should have known that that tree was dead and nevertheless failed to remove it. So I can tell you that number one, you have a potential claim against the driver of the vehicle because they didn't drive in a safe manner and could have avoided this accident. And number two, you may very well have a claim against the owner of the homeowner's policy of the person who owned the tree for failure to remove that tree because it was an inherent danger. So, so we'll make something out of what appears to be a defenseless case, but in fact, we have a very legitimate claim. So feel free to call, and we'll be glad to pursue this claim on your behalf.
1-800-HAYMOND or HaymondLaw.com is where Angelo can go. Good to see that he was able to give him some good news. Thank you so much. All right.